Well, hello there, Joe.
Hey, you look all cleaned up today.
I cleaned up today a little bit. Took a shower. Haven't taken a shower in about a year.
What? Yes, you have. You kidder.
Kidders.
Almost like you're
Margot
joking.
Joking.
Or joking. No, but for real, I like your you got the Superman little patow going on up top.
Oh, I'm smacking the microphone. Yeah, it's been a little minute.
I like the shorts. I like the salmon color.
I've been recording in the studio today, so I have to look presentable.
You're in pro mode.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I did a little
vocal
tracking today.
I'm like, with
Uh-huh.
who?
With Megan and Nikki.
Very cool.
Yep.
How'd it go?
Went good. Working on a little autumn leaves
No way.
with one person, and then some more Majesty stuff with Megan and everything. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm ready. Are you excited? Let's do a round.
Let's
Here we go.
do it. Here we go. Yeah, we're back. Back in action. We still need to do an acapella arrangement of the intro.
Of the intro. I love that idea.
Yeah.
However, we do have some secret workings going
Secrets.
on of the acapella nature that I can't wait for us to kind of
embark
on eventually.
It's something we talked about doing for a long time, and with the brothers, some of the
bros
that are interested in doing it, and we're going to be doing it.
But that's all we can tell you right now.
That's right. We can't say nothing about it.
Yeah, so I'm going to stop talking about it now.
That's right. But you guys will be notified, I'm sure, for real. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what's new, Joe?
Oh, man. I just finished a workout with a friend of mine and been working a lot on some new things.
Yeah, more secrets?
Kind of. Not really. Just really impossible to kind of describe really cleanly and well over. Not cleanly. Like,
it's dirty.
It's going to be
working on some dirty stuff, Joe.
Always working on dirty stuff.
No, but well, how do you get your inspiration for new stuff?
Sometimes a lot of times it comes naturally by doing it. So like I'll be on the road and maybe performing for, let's say, a military charity, and someone will start talking to me about their story, and their story will inspire something in my mind.
Yeah.
And that turns into the next thing. Sometimes that's how it works. Sometimes it comes from, places you might not think, but I see another technique or another thing kind of take place in a totally different realm, whether it be, a movie or, somewhere else. Maybe a kid says something. And quite honestly, that'll turn into me trying out a new technique. It's funny.
So does your technique have to do with your inspiration, or does your inspiration have to do with your technique? What I mean by that is when your first step.
Oh, what jumpstarts the process?
Yeah. Do you just start creating and then get inspired along the way, or do you just not do that?
No, I would say depending on what it is. So if I'm working on a commission, for instance, and someone else has this idea, I'm working on a pretty crazy one right now. You remember I showed you a picture of that one.
Yeah, I saw that one.
It's, somebody's got a cat and they think that the cat is a lot like I think it's Cloud Jumper from How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, wow.
So they are wanting kind of a connection between the two. He's got a photo of his cat and a photo of Cloud Jumper, and I'm creating a mix up of that.
A dragon cat.
Yep. Dragon.
A dragon, Joe. I like it when you draw dragons.
Yeah. In that case, as far as inspiration goes, though, as you can tell, like a lot of it is from the other sources. So it's, I want to get the look of their cat right, and I want to get the look of the dragon. But now I have to think about atmosphere. Like, is this Which way does it
dragon
go?
Cat sitting on a piano, or
right, or is it a dragon, or is it a cat dragon in like Dragon World? Right. So which way?
Dragon World.
Right. Oh, we got the ring
time.
notifications.
It's time.
Time for me to take
spankings.
my pill.
Oh, with two very different ways of that.
Oh man, what about you?
Well,
what inspires you when you're getting ready to mix?
I've been thinking about mixing a lot. So the reason being
a lot of things, mixing a lot of things,
mixing theology.
Whoa.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's going to be a long episode, guys.
No, I've been thinking about the term mixing, which in the sound engineering business is the process of taking all your recorded stuff, so all your tracks, your instruments, if you're talking about music, and putting it all together in a cohesive mix.
Okay.
So that you can hear every instrument and it's all balanced, right?
Right.
So I'm making these posts on social media about the difference between a good mix and a great mix.
Okay.
So you all have to wait for that.
That's kind of cool.
All I have to say. No, I'm just kidding. One of them that's already out, I talked about balance. And one of the things about balance is that people automatically think balance, things must be symmetrical. A left must equal a right.
Oh, not necessarily true.
And so in my post, I put balance does not equal symmetry. And there's a picture. My wife didn't understand it, and I had to kind of explain it, so I felt bad. Maybe I didn't communicate it well. Because she's really good at like, you missed a word here, you did that.
Yeah.
Like, she sees it. I'm just like, I saw the big picture of what I was trying to do, and I'm like, it's fine. They understand it. She's like, well, you don't know how to spell, so
yeah, that's always
it's gonna take people out of it.
Right.
But the picture is, it's like a bedroom, and a bed with like gray, like real modern looking, and on one side you have a picture, and then the other side you have a picture, and it's almost symmetrical, but it's not.
Right.
So if you look at that picture here, I'll pull it up while I'm talking.
Like, well, I would assume that most rooms even technically aren't perfectly symmetrical. Right.
But like a lot of times when we're trying to balance something, we want to jump to that symmetry, right?
Yep.
We're like, there's one on the left, there has to be one on the right. But somebody comments on it, and actually she's a friend from one of my networking groups I used to go to, and she's an interior designer. Yeah. So she got it right away.
Yep.
She was like, that's right, balance does not equal symmetry. So I was going to, here you go, there's a picture.
Let me see this picture.
So this is...
Oh, I just saw this picture recently.
Yeah.
Was that because you had posted it?
Yeah, because I had posted it on my studio page.
Yeah.
So that picture to me is like, there's a balance of light and dark. There's a balance of space. There's a balance of color. And in the same way that you would find a balance of, literally like a room or something.
Yeah.
Is the same thing that I'm doing in mixing music, because you don't want to have all the vocals symmetrical.
That would be a very boring mix.
It's just all going to be like right in the center, so you got to put vocals in a 3D space, which gets on to other things I'm going to talk about in my social media posts. But I was going to ask you, what does balance mean in art for you?
Oh boy. So you touched on a lot of the same things with that example in that specific picture. Like,
and if you guys want to see the picture, go to Key Element Studios Facebook page.
Yeah, check it out. It's a perfect example too, because in one picture you have a little bit of a different color in one of the stripes going across, where on the other side you don't have that color. But on that same side where you don't have the more powerful color, you have lights that are hanging from a very, very high rise ceiling coming down, and then on the other side I think it was a lamp. I'm not looking at it currently, but
Yep.
So you got a lamp, and then you've got the lamp is producing like warm light, and then the main wall has more of a cool light being hit, because a lamp is going to produce at a lesser K for lack of what I'm really
color temperature
than you would get coming through your window. So there's a little bit of like ambient light and all kinds of things, but it's a very balanced looking scene. Like you don't feel uncomfortable necessarily looking at it. You don't feel like something's off. You don't feel like something is a little bit on edge. So a lot of people would equate that to maybe the golden rule or the thirds principle.
The golden rule, like treat everybody the same as you want to be treated.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the golden ratio.
The golden ratio. That's, okay.
I'm just moving the mic. Oh, I just
put it inside
teeth.
your face.
But so in the golden ratio and in the 2/3 kind of concept, or 1/3, the thirds concept, you're purposefully putting things in the wrong place. Is one way of thinking of it. So you're trying to draw your attention to whether it be your main focal point is in a maybe upper quadrant. If you were to think of maybe a tic-tac-toe design on a square or a rectangle,
yeah.
You'd pick one of those where they cross. You'd pick one of those areas and kind of generally have a point of interest in one of those spots. Or say it's a sea, like an ocean. And or a scene, and the ground is better off not being dead in the middle, because in that case there's a sense of uneasiness
because it's just split right in the middle.
Yeah, it's weird. You can kind of get lost in it in a different way. You feel like where am I? Am I floating or am I on the ground?
Right.
Because
that's really good because
right.
Exactly. I was going to say a lot of it has to do with perspective.
Exactly. Yep.
And from a listener's perspective or a viewer perspective on a piece of art, what are they feeling when they're looking at it or when they're listening to it?
So positioning, right? So like you said, which goes with perspective. They're in a way one and the same, but when you think of it from positioning, now you're thinking of it from a control standpoint. You get to position the audience in that seat, in the audience of what you are producing.
Right.
When it comes to, both art forms.
It's like that in film too, right?
Explain.
So you're picking the perspective of what the audience sees.
So when you're saying film, you're saying
like camera, where they're putting the camera.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, man.
That's like, Alfred Hitchcock would make people uncomfortable on purpose because of those rules.
Master at it. Master. You would force those scenes to feel odd.
Force you to feel claustrophobic.
Yes. Yes.
Irritated or uneasy or uncomfortable in a tasteful way, I guess.
Comics do that as well, where they'll, the whole Dutch angle, right?
Right.
That gets almost funny or intense or the room is tilting and you just feel that power that's about to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So perspective is a really cool word. And, cause my goal and what I'm trying to do if somebody gives me a song to mix is I want to think about, okay, not only perspective of how they're going to, where they're coming from, but also like the way that they're going to listen to it. Because it's really funny. So I have a friend, Neil. He's a film composer and really, really good at it too. And he's got a pair of ATC monitors. Basically, they're like $10,000, right? Sheesh. For a pair. But the crazy part about it is they give you so much detail. You can pick out like almost physically, if I were to reach out with my hand, I could pick out like where the vocals and the instruments are like placed because it's so specific. And the crazy part about that is you can get something sounding amazing there. And then going past mixing to mastering, which the difference between mixing and mastering is making it mass produced. So you're gonna format it and get it in a way that it can be out on streaming and YouTube and social media, whatever. If you want to master it for a specific platform, you have to do it a certain way, like CD or even vinyl. People still do that.
Sure.
There are certain parameters for that platform that require it to be heard the best way.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get super, super technical with that, but basically you can get all that work lost in transition.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to master it right.
I am learning that the hard way that's fascinating because I'm learning that with video as well. Like I've been using DaVinci Resolve on my iPad for some video that I've done.
Yeah.
I did some recent stuff for some companies, like some video work for social media content, that kind of thing. And I shot it, and I'm like, I'm going to give this a try and go into a little bit more of a how to color grade this film, this video, right?
Right.
And I shoot the original source file information, the video, in a log, as it's called. Okay, a log.
Log he pulled out the river.
Yes. I don't know.
Very interesting lens you have there, Joe. Putting it through a log.
Yeah, can't you see me like those Michigan people who were, so known for doing the logging industry, and they're like riding the log down the river. It's like, Joe, what are you doing? I'm filming.
I'm getting it on log.
I'm getting it on log right now.
Log.
Joe, don't fall in. No. Anyway, we went way off base there. Point is that it's a very it's a very grayed out version of
it's
very
like
flat
image.
Yes, so
meaning nothing's too bright, nothing's too dark.
Yes, so that makes sure
low contrast.
Yes, and you're getting all the information out of the highlights. So if you can imagine a scene where the sun's shining bright and there are some shadows, and in the shadows you've got some cows in the field and they're under the trees. Well, you can see both the cows and the logs going down the river next to the cows
riding the logs down the river.
All the things. Everything. You get as much information as you can, and then you bring it in, and then you add the contrast and the color and everything. And that's how people are able to get these really fun, like this whole world of doing this coloring and understanding how to color grade. And it's intense. Everyone talks about LUTs. You may have heard that, cinematic vibes and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's where this is being rejuvenated, because film was king of that in the past. That's called dynamic range.
It had huge dynamic range,
Exactly.
right? It was just basically like...
Yeah, and the color you were getting from Kodak and all the different processes that they were doing, phenomenal. I just watched a movie recently, Tom Cruise movie. Just a little censorship there. Be careful on this one. But American Made is the name of the movie. I'm just going to go ahead and say what it is.
Okay. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
So I don't know anything about it.
It may be borderline R movie. I can't remember. But this was not like a family time movie night per se. But it's really just about him during the 70s getting involved with the CIA and like drugs and gun running and all that as a pilot. Okay. And it tells it from his perspective, but the whole movie was shot on different. It looks like it was. I got to look it up to make sure, but it looks like it was shot on original like film, not just like, whoa, latest and greatest, like old school, like shot. Wow. As things changed, you notice they shot different types of film and stuff. It was pretty cool.
The time that it was.
That's what it looks like. They made it look like it, or it is it. And I want to find out.
Oh, very cool.
It just, it reminded me of how some of those things looked. And some people probably like, oh, this is terrible, like this moment of the film. And I would understand that, maybe where they blow it out a little bit, or they do, because they're purposefully trying to make it feel even more like
Isn't that funny how people, like back in the day, people would do everything and anything to get out the dust and the hiss noise of records.
Yeah.
That's crackles and stuff. Now people are buying plugins that simulate vinyl sounds for their music.
Yep.
Or they're actually going and buying these retro things and running their music through it. Same thing with tape.
Yep.
Because there's a certain level of distortion and warmness of the tone that comes through when you run it through tape. It's called saturation, meaning that the harmonic tones around a pitch. So if you're like, that tone or whatever, you would get all the tone around it would warm up and give it a more fuller.
As opposed to wah.
Yeah, instead of wee, it's woo. It's a very good description. But it gives you a warmer, fuller sound and everything. And when you're running a full mix through that, you can capture warmth without digitally blowing out certain frequencies and things like that.
Well, I think it's really fascinating that like all this exists, that to experience our world as God has created it, that there are layers and levels of so many different forms of art, as we call it, but it's really just all the different forms of expressions that we make, that we reflect that God's already put into existence.
Yeah.
And I know I went really way out there. But
isn't it interesting too that in order for something to be perfect, there has to be flaws?
Ooh, we were just talking about this.
Oh man. So
you get into it when you start going down
and
that
I was
road.
thinking about this too. I was talking to our older brother, Brother Ben. Oh, y'all remember Brother Ben from the previous episodes?
Brother Ben.
We were talking about vocal tuning, right?
Oh, geez.
And he brought something to my attention I'd forgotten about, and he said, if you tune past 85%, I think like 80 to 90, somewhere in there, you actually start losing tonal tonal quality, because it's the dissonance. Well, this is now I'm talking. That was Ben's thing.
Right. So now you're adapting.
So then I was like, like a piano. So a piano has like 3 strings sometimes for the keys, for the more fuller ones. And if they're all perfectly in sync, like perfectly, which I don't know if you can,
right.
You lose some tonal quality.
Yeah.
It's the tiny dissonance that create a fullness to the sound.
Yeah. There are so many layers to this. It kind of reminds me of back in college, I was doing an aesthetics paper, right? So the idea of beauty and what makes
anesthetics.
Oh. Aesthetics.
Septics.
I was doing a study on septic tanks and how beautiful they are. I really like that septic tank over there.
I just watched a Mythbusters where they try to blow the boat out of the water, like physically out, and they used a septic tank and filled it with Ampho and put it under the boat.
Ampho. That's what I learned from Mythbusters, is that Ampho just has a lot of throwing power. And if you want to throw something real far, get some Ampho.
Slower and
but it's meteor and just launches everything.
I love Mythbusters.
I love
Anyways,
Ampho.
you were doing your paper on septic tanks.
Yeah, septic tanks. So aesthetics. And there was a study done. There were 2 things that I noticed. One, I think, was called the Adam and Eve Project or something like that. And basically what they did was they took a huge cross-section of faces, okay, and they blended them all together. Like they mathematically let them all even out every line, every structure, bone, nose, everything that was like right to the face, like all the different math equations that equal out to be all our structures, our facial structures, and created a digital Adam and Eve. I thought it was a really fascinating project. Now, how does this relate? It kind of does, it kind of doesn't, but
we're talking about perfection and flaws.
Okay, so you're taking all these flaws and you're ending up, to be honest, they were both, how do I put this? They were both beautiful and not like plain, but like very much an addition of everything summed up. It was hard to explain. It was it'd be like the perfect CIA agent, was looking at you right there, because there wasn't necessarily a feature that stuck out, because now you've
averaged
toned
everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So mathematically it was like perfection in a way, and it was
being
just
close. There wasn't like an individuality to it.
Like I said, though, at the same time, it was really beautiful. But that's how I feel like the sound can be if you go super techie with it and just lock in those vocals to where they're so tuned that now you're talking computer language, essentially.
Yeah, you're like, it's ones and zeros. It's either on or off.
Right? Same thing. So right with that, I used some of that information from that paper research in some of my studies. And then another one was, it was too much of a small cross section, so I don't know how legitimate like this could be applied. But in any case, it was Germany, Miss Germany. So you got Miss USA. So Miss Germany. What this guy did is he did the same thing with all the contestants and put them all together. And in this case, Miss Germany, the digital file, beat the winner of Miss Germany normal. In that case,
what?
Which doesn't make. Do you know what I'm saying? So you take all the faces, all the people, all the ladies who were
from the country or from the world.
No, the contestants.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The finalists.
The sum of the contestants' image beat the actual winner.
Yeah, in that case. Now the cross, but in that version of things, the cross section was very small because it was like maybe 12 or 7, I don't remember, it was a while ago, that were put together for this.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? I have no idea. What I'm trying to say is that it was really fascinating to dig into aesthetics once again and like kind of see because not everyone was on the same page. Some people were voting, for instance, for the one who actually won the Miss Germany, right? And that kind of thing. At the end of the day, the digital Miss Germany did win in that case. But it would be fascinating to test market that because the Adam and Eve project, for instance, I don't remember if that's actually what it's called, everyone. Sorry. I think that's what it was called, was the summation of like all cultures all across the world, like everyone, as many faces as they could possibly put in that were, you know.
My goodness.
I'm tired from all that, man. I don't even think I gave anyone anything of value in that whole time. I apologize.
No, it's really fascinating because I think of the word compression when you say that.
Yeah.
How like the peaks of like somebody's features that are extreme.
Yeah.
You know, the outlanders and everything, and how when you compress it, the common denominator, what comes out in the middle. That's a mixing term as well, compression.
Okay.
And dynamic range, meaning how loud something gets and how quiet something gets.
Okay.
And if you compress something, it brings the highs and lows together, so it's not as big of a jump.
Sure. Yeah, we
again, I didn't have anything to add.
Like, that's it.
That.
I just wanted to tell everyone.
I just want to tell everybody about
compression.
Well, what it can do is it can boost presence. It can also, it's also a mastering thing too, because you're keeping it within the limits of what the platform is using, you know. So
yeah, then you don't get stuff that goes off the page.
That's why audio
volume.
files or lossless audio people that don't like compression, they want to hear the dynamic range truly what it was. So that's what the high quality audio is. Like, it's good to listen to really high quality music if you're listening to something that has something across the entire frequency spectrum, from like a huge timpani all the way up to like the chimes or the bells. You want to be able to hear all of that. Compression will limit it.
Boom, 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 boom.
Don't give anything away about the secrets.
Don't
do it.
Bum, 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 bum.
Joe's gonna do the entire thing by himself.
Bum, 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 bum.
Here it goes.
Anyway, hey, so I have a question, but do you want to put it on to the next episode, or are we still rolling with this one? We're gonna do an A and B.
Well, an A and B, huh?
Because we're bringing it around. I like this.
Okay,
but I'm like thinking, do I keep it attached, or do we make our listeners wait a whole nother week for the next one? What do you think?
An entire week
or 2 days? Or,
I don't know. Should we?
I think we should.